Today we've got some light maintenance to complete on my 2020 X3. These are 3 things that I think everyone should be capable of doing to save themselves a little bit of money. So today we're going to be replacing our cabin air filter, engine air filter, and spark plugs. Now if you are looking for a how-to on just to replace one of them, check the chapters down below on the timeline and skip ahead to the correct one. But let's go ahead and jump inside the car and complete this cabin air filter. So to replace the cabin air filter we need 2 things, a new cabin air filter and a Torx T20 bit so that we can remove the cover. Now most cabin air filters are going to be behind your glove box. However, this X3 is slightly different. It's actually underneath it here. So you can kind of see on this right hand side there's a little tab right here. We need to remove this just by simply twisting it inward. Then we're going to come to the other side and there's one more here. We're going to twist that one the same direction, and now you can see this little cover kind of falls down. So we're going to slightly pull it forward and it drops all the way down. From here we do need to get this out of the way, so we need to disconnect this wire. So you're going to just wiggle this guy free and it comes right out. Now we'll throw that onto our driver's side gently. Obviously we don't want to break it like I could have. And now coming underneath here, this right here is our cabin air filter cover. So there's 2 of those T20 Torx bits. You can see the first one right there and the second one right back there. So we're gonna remove both of those, and then this cover with the black like hexagon pattern on it will be able to come down, and that's where our cabin air filter is. All right, now with those bits removed, on this very right hand side over by this, there's this little tab right here that's keeping it in place. Push that in and down and boom. Now this comes down and you can see our filter is right there. Now it looked like there was one other tab on the other side as well, but then this whole piece was kind of just coming out of the way, and now you can see our filter is falling out. So we're gonna pull that out and we're gonna throw in our new one here in just a second. So here is the comparison between the two. If you open up the cracks in this one, you guys can kind of see, look at all that gunk in there. There's like dog hair or something in there, so it's actually kind of gross. So we're gonna throw in our new one the exact way this came out. So this comes down out of place like so. So we're gonna put the cut up in that corner. You can kind of see it tells you which way the flow is. So we're gonna match it up like that. You can see that should be perfect. So we'll throw in our new one. Obviously we're gonna take off this plastic wrapping. All right, it did take a little persuasion to get the filter up and in, but once I found the right angle, it slid right in pretty easily. We got the clips back on. Time to put our T20 Torx bits back in. Then we'll go ahead and replace this cover, and we're gonna have a nice clean cabin air filter. All right, and just like that, we've got our cover back on, cabin air filter nice and replaced. Let's go ahead and jump under the hood and let's do our engine filter. So in the driver's seat, we're gonna grab our engine air filter and we're gonna pull this guy right here in the footwell. That's gonna pop our hood. And don't forget to pull it a second time, and that's gonna unlock it so that we can pop it up. Now just grabbing in the middle, we can lift. And now we have access to our engine bay. So here is our new filter. The engine air filter is located right here in our factory air box. So we're probably gonna have to remove this bar so that we can have easy access to our air filter. So using a 16mm, we're gonna remove this front bolt, and using an 18mm, we're gonna remove that back bolt. That is a long bolt. So now our bar is nice and off. Go ahead and set that out of the way, and now we have lots of access to our air filter box. So we need to come in with our T20 again and remove all of the screws around the filter housing. You can kind of see there's quite a few of them. Now with all of those removed, you can see we have access to our filter. We can go ahead, pull that guy out, and look at how disgusting that is. That definitely needed to be replaced. Now with that old disgusting one out, we'll throw in our new one exactly how it came out. Crack this guy open, slide that one in, sets in nice and easy. We can push that back down into place. Now we just put our bolts back in. Now I do want to show you guys, these bolts do not have to be super tight. I'll show you. I'm gonna get this one snug, and look. See how if I just give it a little pressure, it's not turning? That's about where you want it. You can give it a nice little quarter turn, boop, just like that, and that is snug into place. You do not need to go crazy. You don't want to tighten these down too much. It is plastic. However, now we're going to put our bar in. I've just tightened these down by hand. So once you get these down, tightened by hand, I'll show you how much force we need to put to get these into place. You guys can see I've now got this kind of snug, right? I'm not giving it a lot of force, but it's on there. Now I'm going to pop up the torque specs for this bolt, or you can just do this amount of pressure, get it nice and tight, and then give it a good quarter turn like that. And now it's not really going to go anywhere, and it's nice and tight. We're not going to have any issues with that. Or you can do the torque specs, and I'll pop it up on the screen. And then swap into our 16mm here. Same with this bolt. Don't need to go too crazy. We knew when we took off the bolts that it wasn't super tight. I didn't need like a huge pry bar or anything to get it off. So we're going to tighten it down. It's starting to get a little tight, and I'm just going to give it a good tug. And one more. Make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And now we're all set. So now that we've tackled these two filters, we're actually going to stay in the engine bay, and we're going to jump onto our spark plugs. Now again, this is something that's super easy that I feel like everyone should be able to do. And so I'm going to show you guys the exact process. It shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. So to tackle our spark plugs, first we got to get this engine cover off. So it's pretty easy. Just kind of lift it up from there. It pops out of place. And let's get this guy removed. So you guys can see now there are our coil packs. There's 4 of them. We're going to have to remove those to get to our spark plugs. Alright, using a small extension and an E8, we're going to remove the coil pack bolt. Don't tighten them. We're going to just loosen those up, and then we can do the rest by hand. That loose on all 4 of them, and then we need to pop out our little wires. So the easiest way to remove the wire here is get a flathead right in this section here. And then we get a little pointy tool and push down on the clip right in this tiny little hole. So we push that in, kind of wiggle it, and then we can stick our flathead right underneath it, give it a little wiggle, and you can see it lifts right off. So that's going to be the easiest way to remove these wires. Alright, now that we've got everything loose, one at a time, we popped out our ignition coil. You just lift up. Now we're going to go ahead and get the spark plug out of our little hole. You guys can kind of see right there. So we're going to use a magnetic 14 here that you can pick up from like AutoZone. It's a spark plug specific tool. We're going to throw that on our little ratchet there. Stick that down in the hole. We're going to crack that loose. And now it should magnetize to our socket so we can get it all the way out and pull it out. Alright, once we feel like it's loose, we can go ahead and lift up. You guys can see the magnet in the socket there keeps it attached. You guys can kind of look, they're a little dusty, dirty. We're going to go ahead and swap them out and throw in the new ones. So we got our fresh one in the socket. They come pre-gapped, so it's good to go. We got a magnet in here, so we just got to stick it in, and we're going to do hand tight. You want to make sure, we're not even going to use the ratchet at first. You want to make sure that it gets threaded properly before you start tightening it. You don't want to have any issues, so you got to make sure that it is straight and goes in before we use our ratchet. Alright, now that I know that it's fully in, we can throw this guy on top, and now we can start to tighten it. Reason we start it by hand is so that we don't cross thread these threads. That is a very expensive mistake. Alright, now again, kind of like our last bolts, they don't need to be super tight. So I'm going to get it to where I can't really move it, and then just give it a nice little snug there. Now that is in, and that's going to be a spark plug replacement. Now we can go ahead and slap our ignition coil back in so that we don't get any dirt or debris in there. Kind of got to push it into place, and you might hear a pop, you might not. And then as long as your screw lines back up, we're going to start hand tightening that up. Like so. We got that one replaced. We can honestly throw in our wires back in. Now we just got to remember to tighten that all the way down. And again, these don't have to be super tight as well. Just got to hold it in place. So I can't move it much more. I'm going to give it a little snug there. And that guy is good to go. So now we can do the other 3, and then we have all 4 fresh spark plugs. Now the last step is to line up our engine bay cover and press it back into place. Well guys, now that we've tackled those 3 items, my car is running a lot happier. I can definitely tell. There's no more little misfire when I come to a stop. And of course we're getting clean air inside of our lungs and inside our engine. Now I know we haven't really had the X3 here back on the channel in quite some time, but there are still some mods that I want to complete on it. So let me know in the comments section down below what wheels you guys would like to see on the X3. And I also want to do some lowering springs to just add a nice aggressive look to it. So if you guys want to see more X3 content, make sure you hit that like button so I know you guys enjoyed the videos on the X3. Let me know in the comment section down below what wheels you guys want to see on the X3 as well. And as always, make sure you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of their future uploads. We're going to be going back to our E46 content here shortly. But that's going to wrap up today's video, so I will see you guys next time. Peace.